They can protest, but we cannot. They can break the laws, but we cannot. We abide by the Constitution. They burn it in effigy. They storm a Capitol building, but we are insurrectionists. When they protest, streets are lit on fire, stores looted, lives disrupted and threatened, and the perpetrators are coddled and released, saved by the likes of Barack Obama and Kamala Harris. When they break laws, George Soros has them released through his regime of puppets, and those in power simply look the other way. When we go to the Capitol, it's insurrection of the highest order. We're caged, we're confined with malice and with no justice whatsoever. No freedom in sight, folks. Guilty until proven guilty. But when they carry out, enable, glorify an actual insurrection, they're the future presidents of the country. They make the Sunday show rounds where they're celebrated and anointed, labeled as the future of this country. Can you imagine that? Did the Sunday shows feature the families of those who lost loved ones, families of those 6 Christian souls, 3 babies who died at the hands of a transgender woman? Did the Tennessee legislature hear from those families? Do Democrats want to yell and scream at them with bullhorns? Instead, that perpetual embarrassment, our vice president in crisis, Kamala Harris, ran the visit with the Tennessee 3, not 6, 3. Nothing brings a Democrat to the party like a good dose of insurrection.
It was about who they were representing. It's about whose voices they were channeling. Understand that. And is that not what a democracy allows?
Got it. So January 6th was synonymous with the 9/11 attacks and Pearl Harbor, right, Cammie?
December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th, 2021.
Wow. Wow. But this was allowed by democracy. This obvious insurrection is idolized in a sermon by Kamala Harris, and the Tennessee 3, not 6, have an open invitation to the White House. But then the Veep of uselessness reminded us all of the reason she should have made a visit to Tennessee in the first place.
3 educators and 3 babies, 9 years old, were murdered senselessly due to gun violence.
Oh, that's right, because Kamala had plenty of time for fiery speeches about praising insurrectionists, but not to visit and cry with the families of 3 Christian children and 3 Christian schoolworkers who died. And then this ministry of truth, this New World Order soldier, waxes on and on about free speech, about not silencing voices.
A democracy says you don't silence the people. You do not stifle the people. You don't turn off their microphones when they are speaking about the importance of life and liberty.
What sheer and utter hypocrisy. The left's entire strategy, without apology or defense, is to silence and censor those who don't agree with them, has been, continues to be, and now Democrats are making secular saints out of 2 state lawmakers expelled by their House for disrupting the legislative work of their colleagues. Sounds like an insurrection to me, but only because those are their words. Those are the words they used. State congressmen, 2 of the Tennessee 3, the Justins, Justin Jones and Justin Pearson, seized control of the House floor. So, insurrection. With a bullhorn demanding action. So, insurrection. And led the spectators in the gallery in chants of gun control now and no action, no peace. So, insurrection. No action, no peace. Now, does that sound peaceful or threatening to you? And yet, after he was removed from the Tennessee House, Justin Jones was reinstated today until a special election is held. But no, the left and the adoring media rushed to associate themselves with that mess, dreaming up ways to spin it to fit their narrative that Republicans are a mortal threat to democracy again. But there's no greater threat to our democracy than the left. Joe Biden, the head of their party, called for the expulsion of the insurrectionists, shocking and undemocratic. Oh, the irony here. This heathen dementia in chief using those words shocking and undemocratic. Well, I think it's shocking and undemocratic that the President of the United States puts insurrectionists on a pedestal, ignoring the fact that 6 Christian families mourn their lost family members at one of the holiest times of the year. On Good Friday, the President did not call those families. Not at all. Instead, he took time out of his extremely busy schedule to do a video call with the insurrectionists, to praise them, and to invite them over a cuddly chat at the White House. They're willing to trash political norms. They're willing to defy our democracy and institutions if they get in their way. And when rulings come down that they don't like, if they're not taking to the streets with fire and violence, their other plan is to, just ignore it.
I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. I think that the courts have the legitimacy and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings. And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the courts.
Wait, are you trying the same word salad that Kamala Harris likes to produce? Prompting Americans to circumvent the laws. Is that what she said? I'm sure that comes as no surprise. Telling the FDA to ignore a judge's ruling because it's a ruling they don't like. The leftist government weaponizing our agencies. They've done it before and they'll do it again. They protested outside of the Supreme Court, the justices' homes, illegally, mind you, with the intent to threaten, intimidate them, and with the full support of the president of these United States, by the way. If any other state says no to mutilating small children, giving them body-altering surgeries and doing irreparable damage through puberty blockers, well, California will welcome them with wide open arms. We try to stop it, yet they push ahead with it, protecting at all levels. The left have made the transgender issue and supporting the mutilation of children the forefront of their 2024 platform. Joe Biden said he would force it at the executive level already. California Governor Gavin Newsom wants his state to be a sanctuary state for sickness and for madness. His state filled with crime, filled with homelessness and lawlessness and insane depravity. And for that, Newsom is rewarded. A sit down with, who else? Jen Psaki-Bama. And where else? MSNBC.
They don't care about our kids, because if they did, they'd ban these damn weapons of war. They would have background checks. They require some common damn sense. They don't. So you know what, those kids that were there in the Capitol, God bless every single one of them.
Wow. Right. So becoming a sanctuary state for mutilation of children is caring about kids. Let me get that straight, Gav. A woman is assaulted and held for ransom at a university in San Francisco, and nothing happens to the attackers. No arrests, no charges, just a flimsy apology. Sounds about California to me. And that's because the left celebrates violence. They celebrate a godless culture. They celebrate the desecration of our Constitution and the Republic. They roll out the blue carpet for the low lives of our society and government. Right, Jen Psaki? Right, Chuck Todd? Right, Kamala Harris? Right, Joe Biden? Right, Barack Obama? But no, Joe Biden rewards insurrectionists while coming after our guns, our constitutional rights yet again. How many more Americans must die, he asks, when Joe Biden's own policies have led to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Americans. They can protest, but we cannot. They can break the laws, but we cannot. And they play by a different set of rules, none of which are in our Constitution of country nor of God. Which is why we cannot let Joe and the left carry out their plan to prevent us from protecting ourselves. They want the control, and they won't surrender peacefully. They want your self-protection, and they will never, ever let a crisis go to waste.